He's so proud of himself for that little snicker afterwards.
He has no shame.
Yo! What's going on, guys? This is Grim Reaper bringing...
Nothing.
That's it. No,
I'm not bringing anything, and that's it for this one.
Yo,
He's in his Corona bunker.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm trying this whole like censorship thing, and I just got caught up right there with the thing. I was gonna say like 4 or 5 like profane things.
No, it's all right. Sundown already got you. He said the no word.
What do you say?
bunker.
Bunker?
No. What is that bunker for?
Beer.
Eating his meat?
No. What is it protecting him from?
Beer.
Oh, beer.
Yes. You can't say beer. You get demonetized.
Oh, I don't know if we need to really be even hinting at jokes for that. So,
For beer?
no, you know exactly. Anyway, moving
I'm
on.
really confused.
Oh, I found out today there's actually a title for this chapter now. Anyone else see it?
No.
Invasive something. Invasive touch. What an appropriate title.
I was going to reread the chapter and it was like, wait, when the hell did that update?
All right, let's keep pushing. All right, so with 128's arrival, that's actually delayed a few days for some travel purposes, apparently. And with the coincidental arrival the explosion of coronavirus, we're expecting a lot more attention from you guys in terms of like content in the community in general. You guys are gonna be home a lot more, beating your meat a lot more, and you'll be tired a lot more from beating your meat. So it'll be great to have a nice, good podcast to talk about 128, and we're here to bring that for you. But 128 encompasses a lot of things. There's a lot of theories, a lot of concepts that we can dive into. But first, let's talk about overall thoughts. What's going on, guys?
This was a great chapter. I guess the best chapter of the year so far, right? Maybe. I'm trying to think. Makes sense.
No.
This was great. Everything about it was fantastic. Yeah, Murata's just amazing. He's super consistent. It's really impressive. Obviously, I mean, he's ultra impressive. He's one of the best mangas in the world, but like, I don't know, he's the total package because he can illustrate incredibly, and then he also has like this nearly unrivaled character design because like the way that Psychos looks in this chapter is like amazing. So I can't wait to see the future of Murata's designs because they're always stellar.
Yeah, I agree with that. Going from being completely not worried about Tatsumaki to being like, oh shit, Tatsumaki's gonna die, to being like, oh shit, she got this. It was a wild ride, and I thought, yeah, I think I agree with Zoe in the sense of probably the best chapter of this year so far. And Psychos' new design looks sick. Looks proper dope. So I can't wait to see where this goes. And that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I love this chapter. Just like it answered so many questions, but at the same time, like it just gave you little bits that you want to know more. As the guys have said, like the designs are amazing, and something Murata does especially well is it makes sense for why like things look the way they are and why power-ups are the way they are too. I loved everything like that. Psychos' new form is beautiful. It's great. Yeah, even like I know people aren't big fans of the flashy Saitama stuff, but I love that. Really made me laugh. Yeah, and it answered some questions with Orochi. One of the best chapters this year, definitely. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, the Battle of the Psychics definitely took a turn when Orochi decided to, play his hand and then got suppressed. Which I feel like he's going to get a resistance to that, Like being constantly forced down into a submissive power-up. That ain't Orochi's endgame, I don't think. But, yeah, like, what was it? Evangelion meets like Mothra. Great form. It was. I was like, oh, kaiju. I wasn't even thinking of Evangelion. So, and yeah, Tatsumaki actually having to struggle, or though later on you kind of get the hint that she's not, but it was like, okay. So we'll definitely get to see maybe in the coming chapters, if we don't jump somewhere else, that is, of what her true potential is. But yeah, good chapter all around.
I also agree it was a good chapter. It was interesting. It progressed the storyline forward. We did get to see the actual fusion, and I wasn't expecting the whole Orochi defeat or little minor setback, as it were. The design was beautiful, but I think it was also trash.
How dare you?
What? How does that statement make sense?
Can we hear why?
Like it was like some bird bug type. I don't know how
Where
to
do
probably
you get
describe it.
bird
But
from this?
it looked like some like devious type like bug that like it wasn't even really that interesting looking. Like it when Murata makes other monsters like maybe their size or I don't know. Like it was hard to take in its facial features and I think there was just like too much in the picture. Like not to mention the tentacles and stuff with like Psychos' head in the beginning only that were like flying everywhere like hair, but like it was a big ass like unshapely bug with two like black horns. It wasn't physically like or combat appealing. I don't know, but like I was just amazed that like she looked so beautiful in the second part, but we're most likely going to get into that in a much more detailed manner later. In the meantime, though, make sure that you guys check out the Discord if you want to discuss the events or the topics that we discuss and contrast your ideas with ours on the podcast by joining the Discord below. But let's hop into the first big thing that I noticed in the chapter was an actual big thing. Orochi's goo, which has been spreading around the association for a few chapters now, being pretty effective, presented himself not only up against King, but the puppets that Giro was attempting to utilize. Now, in her initial dialogue when addressing the puppets, she made it seem as if she could retrofit those puppets for her own use, not necessarily requiring Orochi. But now that Orochi's down here and that he's absorbing them or assaulting them, I'm not so sure what the initial plan was, if it did entail Orochi, if Psychos really has the ability to control things that big, if that was her intention the entire time. There's a lot of things to draw from this, so what did you guys think?
Given what we've seen her do now, I mean, and with the long range capabilities that she showed with the, 1,500 meter range, her controlling these larger bodies didn't seem like a impossible thing to me. And worst come to worst, she always had her little brain juice power up, whatever you want to call it, It was like, crap. It's like, I'm under-leveled for this, and then it's like, okay, time to guzzle, and then, okay, I can control them. I mean, it just didn't seem impossible to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. It just makes sense just because it does. Like, she's an Esper, she can control things, so given that she had access to Orochi's form, which is malleable, get what you get.
I was just confused by... So we're talking about the puppets, right? The meat puppets. And they're all being absorbed. It looks like one of them, even the lady one, is kind of reacting to being absorbed. And I didn't realize that they were cognizant.
Yeah, I thought they were like dead puppets, like the big one that she was using initially. I didn't think that they were alive.
Yeah, so that's what shook me up, because I had no idea who these guys were upon first read. I was like, who the hell is this chick that's getting absorbed right now? And then I realized, looking back, that they were in that container, and I had no idea that they should have had any any idea that they were getting absorbed. They should just be meat puppets, right?
I mean, it's probably just like a very basic level of intelligence, like nothing amazing, but they've probably got something there just so she can. That's like her entryway to just like easily take him over.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Just have kind of like a baseline thing so that she can inject herself into it.
Well, by that logic, they just need a brain. You know? Even if they don't have, like, any intelligence, just, like, a bare instinctual kind of mindset. And there you go.
I mean, just on another thing for design, I didn't pick up on it first of all, but it is just a great way to show their size, just by having, like, her sofa in the corner there. I love that. That looks so good. But, yeah, I mean... I'm very interested with the Orochi element taking them over, because now there's another thing to watch out for here. But if anything, it's kind of got me questioning why she chose, maybe because they weren't ready, but why she chose like the original Gyoro form over some of these others. So especially like the woman, because from what we've seen, Psycho's like she likes like things to look nice and look good. So I wonder why she chose the previous Gyoro form instead of one of these.
It's a good question.
I would assume based on maybe it was a random monster that she modifies. And then, you know, it's like, I'll just keep the form instead of... Otherwise, wouldn't they all just look the same?
I'm thinking that, like, that's what kind of why I mentioned the size thing. Because it's probably just more efficient to control that one. I mean, like, Psycho's Gyoro more than, like, any of the other psychic users so far... Tatsumaki or Fubuki, she's like really, really, really dexterous with her ability. Like she's sending signals to control things at a distance, like speech at a distance, like mind control, telepathy. She's doing a variety of things simultaneously. She's spying on you all the time. She has those little surveillance eyes all over the base that are working consistently. Like I wouldn't be surprised if there is an actual strain based on like what you're actually doing. Like the farther she tries to use her powers, the more of a strain it is on. The bigger the object, the more of a strain it is. Stuff like that. So that's why I would think that her using those giant puppets would maybe be stronger, but in a destructive way, not in a like a multi-utility way like the smaller one was. She could sit in a chair, confront monsters, bully fodder, like do all kinds of stuff. That puppet form was pretty effective. And I'm wondering if these other huge ones would be anywhere near as capable for what all her uses were.
I kind of wonder if there was maybe more like utilities built into these, because like some of these are way more monstrous than even Gyoro was. You know,
Like powers?
Do what?
I was thinking that too. As you mentioned that and before, like what if because they're different monsters, they'll have different innate power? Like not to say that the original Gyoro puppet had imbued psychic capabilities, but what if these? Because the big female one reminds me of the monster that we saw in the Zombie Man chapter. Zombie Man blasted her in like the first few like panels, like, and they actually resemble each other, big titties and everything. So I'm wondering if like
it was the big titties that reminded you, huh?
It's a monster, bro. I can't keep looking at that. But yeah, I would think that like that big ass puppet probably has some innate wood powers, because I think that's what the other monster was doing. So it's interesting you bring that up. Like, what if each puppet had like its own special trait, and in turn, what if Orochi absorbing these puppets while Gyoro takes over his goo is what made this like bug type form?
Well, I was thinking, like, you know, maybe one for more combat-related situation, one for, like, stealthy, like, infiltrations, and it's all just directly linked to her, so she sees and hears everything it sees, and, you know. But I do like the idea that they would all have their original abilities, and she's just manipulating them. Which then, why would she choose Garou then? You know? Kind of limiting.
Something that wasn't limiting is Tatsumaki. Now, I don't think we've ever done this before for her. we got almost out of the habit of like doing our first reactions, first presentations of a character, because we've seen a lot of them already. But this is Tatsumaki's her first setup, her first like real bout, and I guess we probably already addressed it like a while back when she first initially encountered Girl, but this is a whole nother level. So let me ask y'all boys, from everything that you've thought of her so far, manga only, and from everything that you like saw her go through, like, you know, from when you first saw her to like actually seeing her experience it and now this potential, what do you think of Tatsumaki as a character? Like, what does she mean to you? How much weight does she hold in the story to you? Like, when you think of Tatsumaki, when you hear Tatsumaki, what happens to your dick?
What happens to my penis? When I think about Tatsumaki?
That one from what do you think her weight is in the story to how does she affect your penis?
When I'm doing the podcast like that, you're supposed to answer all those questions.
This is what surprised me, Grimm, because you could do some really good segues. Like, I was listening when you were like, something else is about Tatsumaki, and I was like, wow, that was good, and then you say that. Like, what's how can you do both of these things?
Get you a host that can do both. Oh shit!
All right, so ignoring the second question, I think Tatsumaki as a whole, we've always known that she's going to be super important to the story moving forward, and just because we haven't really seen too much of her, hasn't really narrowed her impact on the story down. But this chapter, especially where we see that little bit where she's behind bars, there's going to be so much to go. I hope we get a whole arc showing her backstory, possibly that she may have been experimented on, maybe by the looks of things. So I think she's going to have.
Skipping ahead and shit, dog.
What you want, like our full impression of her? That's part of it.
Yeah, not to mention fucking spoilers for your full. Would you be like she got big titties and big ass and I like her?
She ain't got no big titties. Can't talk about that.
I think she's going to be impactful to the story, and her impact so far hasn't been like story changing, but it's going to be.
I mean, if we can't talk about that panel, then I guess until we can, Tatsumaki, who knows what she's going to do? They haven't shown any backstory of her yet. I hope we get some soon. Real soon would be nice, but who knows when. She's done a job as a character, which is, she's a powerhouse, but she's annoying, which is good. And I guess that's all I can say for now. There we go. Kishin, go.
She's a different kind of Saitama. Overpowered, but has a more negative personality. I mean, you know, where you literally throw around the superiority. I'm not a fan. But like seeing her actually struggle for once, or seemingly struggle, if it was even just for that instance, because she's holding back because of, but I guess I can't talk about it because we aren't there yet. So, but for reasons she's holding back. It's at least a breath of fresh air for the character, to say nothing else. And but yeah, I like her powers. I don't like her personality. Simple as that. Also, she's flat.
What the fuck?
Damn, that was messed up.
I like big titties and I cannot lie.
Whoa! Whoa! Kishin?
Whoa!
What the fuck?
Damn!
It's uncalled for.
Everything.
You just
Show some respect, please.
These are women. Even though it's a fictional woman, still a woman.
So what was your opinion, Zoe?
That was it. She's might be a fictional woman, but she's still a woman.
Oh,
And back to you.
That's her impact on the. Okay, go ahead.
That means you fuck her just like a real woman.
What'd you say?
Does that mean that you fuck her just like a real woman?
Yes,
If she allows it.
which she would.
Just like a real woman. What if she says no, just like a real woman? Though, are you going to take it from her?
Of course.
Because you'd have to.
What?
No means yes, right?
When she's
No, there's nothing I could do. She would vaporize me.
She'd turn you into a roachy goo.
Nah, you know what she'd really do?
They know because she's got her eyes only on one man at the moment, and that's King.
Oh, that is true.
No, but like while you're shooting out your beams, she'd start twisting it.
Did you say beans?
Beams.
Yeah, when you pop open your can of baked beans, she starts twisting them round, and then there you go.
You using that segue?
That wasn't a segue.
No, hang on. Let's see what he does. Speaking of beans,
Yeah. Speaking of twisting beams, Tatsumaki. I don't want to say showed off a new ability or like. This is really impressive. We've seen Shiryu catch Chose's big ass energy ball and throw that bitch up. Fucking cock diesel style blood fist out there, you know? Real nigga shit. We've seen Garou literally tank point blank Rover's fucking cannon to the face. Man. Same thing with Orochi. We've seen a variety. But we have not seen somebody adjust beams after they've been fired. I don't recall that whatsoever. Even Homeless, who's able to like control his like explosive balls, hasn't shown that kind of dexterity. I checked out Zhoniin's thumbnail for the review. Make sure you guys check that out. And he titled it "A New Above Dragon Threat."
Question mark.
Yeah. Go ahead, check that video out. Like it. This entire situation, though, has been Psycho's attempting to get to this level, attempting to combat up against Tatsumaki. So we already know the answer to the obvious question: is Tatsumaki quote unquote above dragon? If you guys accept that, right? but
She's the new threat. She was the hidden threat in the association the whole time. No.
But the things that she showed this chapter, are those like fighting tactics or fighting abilities that like you would have to use up against like an above dragon individual, or were these like dragon level things? Like the powers that she used were they to that extent, or like would you expect a dragon to be able to do or deal with or force her to use those capabilities?
It's all depending on her output.
I think, I mean, who else is going to do that to Orochi's beams? Not many characters come to mind. So process of elimination puts her, like, you know, near the top of the power scale.
I know, but I'm saying, like, does adjusting Orochi's beams like that, is that like an above dragon thing? Because I don't...
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah, definitely. Her doing that, like, it's nothing. There's, like, no one that could do that besides her.
So Guru Orochi is still above dragon?
Yeah, I mean, look at those beams. They're probably just as strong as, like, when he's I mean, like, her sleeves are messed up. That's serious when the sleeves get messed up.
There ain't no rolling up these sleeves. No more.
The only reason why, like, and I want to elaborate upon this later on too, not now, but like the reason why I don't think he's above dragon is because of Saitama's punch. So that's why I'm asking you guys this, like,
Well, he took it.
He's still alive.
That's like prerequisite above dragon stuff.
Basically.
nah, man, Flashy and Mike were literally right there in front of me. The wind blew their hair across. There's been no other punch. Even the punch against Rover was omnidirectional and devastating. That punch didn't compare to anything Saitama's done. I would even say the Deep Sea was about that same level, maybe a little bit.
What? You're saying this punch is weaker than the punch he gave Rover?
What? Nigga, by far.
Wait, it's like the same thing happens. Compare the panels side by side. I'm saying like him delivering the punch, he's in literally the exact same position he is when he punched Rover. And it's like the same thing, almost like a recreation of that panel. And then the follow-up shockwave thing, that's exactly what happened to Rover.
Bro, that shockwave like is nothing.
We don't get the same bird's eye view of the Rover shockwave, but the epicenter of it is the same.
Bro, if you zoom in too, you can see where Saitama is, and if you compare it to the Rover picture, we saw how big Rover was in contrast to the explosion. So I can agree that the biggest difference here is the angle that we're seeing it at. Sure, but just the fact that Flashy and Mike are right there, I don't believe that, bro. I don't think this punch compares to the Rover.
Well, that's like your opinion, man.
Sundown, what do you think about Tatsumaki's abilities? Are they above Dragon, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, just seeing how just that one page where you see her kind of close down all of those beams onto each other. So she's manipulating, like, I assume some sort of gravity element here. And then she does the exact same thing all the way down the aisle of that corridor she's in. I saw that and I was like, holy shit. She's just basically pinpointed where clusters of these Orochi heads are, these dragon heads are. And they're all shooting these high-level beams. And she's pinpointed every single one of them. And then just forced them all in on each other like a sandwich. I thought, yo, shit. That if that's not high or above dragon level, I'm not sure what you would say is. And she's doing all of this while making sure that she's not doing something to someone else who we can't mention yet, because that's later on in the chapter.
You ruined it for us, Grimm, so we have to do this to you.
Well, y'all can say it, just don't elaborate upon it. Y'all niggas for out here have a whole
No, we
tale
can't. You told us this. You got angry at us, and now we can't. We don't know what happens next. I'm reading the chapter live right now, so who knows what happens. I agree with what Sundown said though. Like, just she's above Dragon. She's like, we've seen her go toe to toe with Dragon opponents like nothing. Like, it hasn't phased her. She's been going against Psychos and all the different forms, not bothered her at all. This is just another example of her strength. And I don't know if she's I don't know if she'll ever go all out. Who knows? You know, there's no signs of this in the future. But currently, it's above Dragon is a great estimate for her.
I could definitely go Dragon Plus, especially if this is when she's holding back, supposedly. So, yeah. And
there's like One Piece, like on the surface we call it above Dragon, but like in Skypiea they call it Dragon Plus.
You just have to stop.
No. It can't even be that, because it was like, you know, it's hockey down there, but it's mantra up there. So Dragon Plus, it's got to be like Hydra Plus or something, you know. But
well, that's like your opinion, man.
And I'll take it to the grave, man.
Another opinion I'd like to explore is Rover's destructive capability up against Tatsumaki's beam twin. Now, this is, I guess, is like maybe a bit reiterating what we just talked about, but I'm not convinced that Orochi's unanimous blasts are as destructive as the volleys that Rover was giving, at least in the goof one. Don't get me wrong, the panel that we got, not the previous chapter, but I think it was the previous chapter, where Orochi surprises Tatsumaki and we see the large, like, explosion, supernova type disruption in the shadows of the association corridor. It was big. It was impressive. It was, you know, even awe-inspiring. But my nigga, like, I wouldn't say that's as big as that big ass ball Rover let off that like collapsed half of the inside cone, or like that big the middle part in a banana, or not a banana, an apple.
The biggest part of the banana. Okay.
Yeah. The inner stem of the apple. That it looks like that shit in the Rover chapter. What reminded me of those big ass Rover blasts was actually the crater that Tatsumaki was leaving inside of the wall. So how easily is Tatsumaki beating Rover or Elder Centipede? And I know it was mentioned that Tatsumaki can beat Elder Centipede. I think one mentioned that or what. But using manga only reference and information.
I don't know if that was ever said.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't Guro bait when Elder Centipede was attacking? Didn't they say like Tatsumaki was one of the ones who could beat?
Yeah, but he said that somebody said one said that.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think one said that.
But thank you for helping me reassure the credulousness of the community.
No problem.
Yeah. No more facts from y'all niggas. Fucking credulous facts. God damn.
But I'll say that she could.
Oh, what's up? You talked to one lately, bro?
No.
Oh, okay.
I've never spoken with him. You would have known it if I did. I hope one day I can, because I have a whole bunch of questions I want to ask him.
And they won't answer them.
Would you make a video about it?
Yes. I'd make multiple videos about it.
Interview with the one.
I mean, it won't happen, but damn, that'd be cool.
Hey, start a GoFundMe.
No, I don't even think it's about money. I think he's just would be like, I don't want to talk to this stupid American.
Paparazzi, though.
Especially for potential spoilers for the series.
Well, I mean, of course, my questions would be calculated. I know he's not going to tell me like the intricate details.
But if you word things in a certain way, you know how like when even just on a regular talk show, like a celebrity or something talking about a movie, and then they'll almost let something slip.
Yeah, Tom Holland.
I thought it was a gag at first, but no, that nigga's really just fuck the night. Tell us up, man.
Yeah, anyway, Tatsumaki beats Elder Centipede. That's what this was the core of.
She would rip his legs
and
off.
Rover too. Put Rover in there.
Yeah, she could beat Rover too.
Mm-hmm.
But how easily? Like, what difficulty? Like, is this gonna be the same thing as like the rest of these niggas? Like, what does this entail?
I don't know. Maybe like mid diff at the most.
Yeah. She'd trap him in a barrier and he'd fry himself, and then she would just crush the remains.
Okay, but like, are you considering this fight mid diff? Like, because I don't think this is mid diff yet. I guess it's kind of mid diff. She's hurt a little bit.
When you're profusely bleeding from the face and expelling blood from your mouth, it's a high diff minimum.
At least in that moment. Because she did seem like she was kind of healing herself, very much like the Fubuki fight. Where, like, 1 minute, it's like they're literally bleeding, and the next thing, it's like they've, like, wiped most of it away, and it's just dry blood. It's like, what, a minute or two's passed?
And also, she was saved by Saitama here.
Yeah, that is a thing, too.
That does bring up the question, like, if you take one big-ass hit in the fight, if you're winning the entire fight, does that make it a high diff or extreme diff? Like, so I'm kind of asking, like, if we're saying it's a medium diff or a mid diff, and that's going to be a little bit less than what we're saying now, since you're saying this is a high extreme diff, then what would Elder Centipede and Rover be able to do to Tatsumaki?
Nothing. It would just be her. I'm saying mid diff at the most. I can't really like accurately gauge like how much she would struggle with them. Like, obviously Rover's, physically strong. Elder Centipede by default is physically strong. And I'm just trying to guess like how difficult would it be for her to control Elder Centipede like she controlled 100 Eyes Octopus. Like, obviously, it would be more difficult than 100 Eyes Octopus, and she obviously wasn't struggling with him. So, like, I don't know, multiply that by, like, 10, I guess. And then that's how much more she would be struggling. So I guess maybe that puts it into mid-difficult. Like, she had to put, like, a good effort of her strength in order to get it done. That's, like, mid-diff. Low diff is, like, when you're not even really trying, and it's just, like, a one-shot or something. Like, she low-diffed 100 Eyes Octopus.
Some creatures and monsters have qualities that are, like, not in their range, right? Like, obviously, Wicked Cockroach speed is superior than a lot of dragons we've seen. So, like, he may have a trait or two like that. Obviously, people are impressed about Bug God's durability. He may have more durability than Bakuzan, maybe even more than Neon. It's things like that. So I'm just wondering, like, these two guys that are at the top of the dragon class, they don't have any features that are, like, that would give Tatsumaki, like, an actual, like, challenge. Like, because I don't know you don't mean it literally, but you said, like, they can't do anything to her. So I'm like, are you saying Tatsumaki can, like, low diff anybody that's not at her exact skill level?
Well, the thing that makes this fight more complex than the others, more intricate, is the fact that she's against a fellow Esper who's on, like, some big time crack juice, and now she's had her body steadied up as well. So that's what makes this so much more complex than, for instance, Rover and Elder Centipede, who all they could really do is try and brute force her, and if that doesn't get past her barrier, they can't really do much more beyond that, right?
No, I mean, that was the main thing I was thinking about, was could Rover brute force? But if they were saying that basically, the giant Elder Centipede couldn't beat Tatsumaki, I don't think Rover could either. I don't really have... Yeah, these guys pretty much covered it, I think. Well, Sundown put it really well. It's a different kind of fight between, while obviously Psychos is, like, she's not as physically strong, but she's more of a match in terms of her abilities in comparison to people like Rover and Elder Centipede.
Yeah, they don't have all-around kind of capabilities, like telekinesis and stuff to, like, attack you from all angles all at once, necessarily. I mean, Orochi is one thing, but the dragon beams, but that's, But,
Yeah, they've got things they can do really well. It's just, and normally it works for them, but in those chances when it doesn't, they don't really have anything else to rely upon. They don't have any backups.
I think like contrasting these ideas definitely, like, opens up more thought process, at least with the fans. Hearing different possibilities we brought up. Something like that opened up my mind as I was seeing it to the plethora of possibilities. Something that we go to on a routine basis. It's even renowned in the podcast. Was this baby girl, this big booty cheek, this sexy thighed Tatsumaki's backstory?
She has a what?
we can talk about that now?
What page was that on?
What?
The promised day has arrived.
What page was this?
So getting the first context of this, we didn't really get, like, the backstory for that many other heroes. We kind of got somewhat of a, I guess, like, previous actions whenever we were told about, like, how the S-Clan actually came to be. We saw Metal Bat, we saw Dark Shine and such. But this is even farther back. This really constitutes as a backstory. So we have the picture here. I'm not sure if it's on the screen or not. Please, everybody, take a second to drop your like your first thoughts on it, and then we'll open up the floor to free contrast.
I like it. This didn't happen in the webcomic. This is a big change.
Also like it. I think there are a couple possibilities here rather than probably what first jumps to mind. So I'm happy to explore those once we get the green light.
This whole chapter is all new stuff. I'm seeing, like, Psychos transforming and Orochi and all that stuff. That's all new.
My dick gets harder the more you describe it.
Well, I don't really know how to follow that, I'm going to be honest with you, Grimm.
My phallus becomes more engorged.
of a roguelike quality.
That's how you followed up.
Well,
How mu-
pretend I said that. Just let's pretend I said that. Yeah. I mean, no, I love it because, like, all of a sudden, like what we were trying to say earlier, like, this adds new depth to Tatsumaki, who's always been very much me, I'm the best, to actually caring about someone who isn't her or Fubuki, and like giving like this new look on life, well, like on how she perceives things. But yeah, it was a shock without a doubt. I love that they did this. It's just such a great way to tease what's going to happen in the future when, as the guys have said, like, you know, eventually, like, when we find out the full info on Tatsumaki's backstory, this is just such a great way to tease it.
I actually kind of took some notes when it came to this because I had a little discussion, I think it was yesterday, with Viv. Obviously, he doesn't spoil me on anything, so, you know. But he likes some of my random tangents. And I proposed this back during the whole, like, the support hero fight against Nian. How, like, psychics may be enhanced and all that stuff, and that might explain Gearspur's scar. What if Tatsumaki originally wasn't all-powerful like she is now? Like, she just had, like, the sparking, so to speak, of a psychic, which seemingly is rare in the One Punch universe. And then we don't hear anything about her or Fubuki's parents, so what if, because they're like maybe considered freaks of society, they were sold off to the what I referred to as the Science Society, which is where she's locked up and they're just being experimented on to either enhance them, maybe give regular people powers, all this kind of stuff. And then I had kind of the randomest of thoughts that they weren't even actually sisters, but but another weird connection. Why does it seem like all the psychics have green hair, or a semblance of green hair?
Well, Tatsumaki and Fubuki do because they're sisters.
Yeah, but we have almost like an aqua blue, because like it was the official color for Psychos' hair.
Yeah.
So that's almost green. So I'm wondering if there is a connection between that.
Sounding like, you know, maybe you should make a video about that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know Gearspur's color yet because, good lord, when are we going to get to this in the anime? But
I'm thinking that he either has white hair or hair like Psychos. And then it's revealed that he is Psychos' cousin or something.
It's like, she's the one who gave me the helmet.
That's not how he talks, okay?
Yeah, why
That's not how he talks.
Right before she went into hiding, I don't know what happened to her, but my cousin, she has like these awesome powers, and it's like, I couldn't do anything with mine, and she gave me this power, and it ups my abilities, and I became a hero. I'm honoring her, and it's like, and then later he finds out she was killed by Tatsumaki. It's like, oh yeah, I killed some evil chick. It's like, she had awesome powers. You killed my cousin. Vendetta!
Make a fan manga.
I'm still laughing at. She's the one that gave me my helmet.
Yeah, what was that, like Mexican?
I don't know. It was trying to go nerdy. Maybe it was nerdy Spanish. But
I'm thinking that from the picture, like, so looking at the monster in the background, like, it looks like it has hair, like that looks like hair and shit. And it's chasing after the three scientists outside, obviously. So, like, I'm assuming that this is a person that turned and was either inside of a cage and broke out, or turned because he was being experimented on outside and broke from a lab, whatever the situation may be. But we're obviously seeing an implication that, like, Tatsumaki was imprisoned by individuals who were doing things that may involve the monster behind them. The first thing that came to mind, like, if I were to accept that theory as being the truth, is these are the best scientists in the world. Them niggas made Tatsumaki. Dr. Genius has nothing comparable to her, even though he has a lot more things that are also very, very good. I would still give it to these niggas and who else they're also affiliated with. But the next thing that comes to mind is like, so are Tatsumaki's powers given to her? Like, was she tortured into a state where she received these powers? Were they experimenting on her because she already had them? Like, why is she being imprisoned here? Or are they like trying to take like her powers or like something from her and give it to others to see if they can spread that and weaponize that? Like, the only thing that I know is that they have to have negative intentions if this monster is attacking. Sure, there could be some other scenario, but like I don't think it's as likely as like they're the reason why she's imprisoned and this thing is after them because for the same cause.
Or is this like an X-Men kind of thing where people with these powers are sent somewhere because they can't control them, and one of their boys, so Tatsumaki, she seems to be genuinely worried about the scientists running by. This is the only reason this came to mind. She seems to be concerned for their general well-being with that big-ass, six-eyed, toothy guy chasing them. So could it have been that she was sent there because she was unable to control her abilities? She was a danger to the people around her, and she was kind of being taught by these guys how to best use her abilities, possibly given drugs, or drugs were being created for her in order to control that. And in this case, one of their inmates, let's say, or one of their patients broke out.
I could definitely see them like one of the patients if they're like going through like horrific experimentation, or the fact that, like as you said, they were sent there due to fears of their powers and all that, and then like they just don't want to be there anymore, and like the stress of the experiments, the lack of wanting to be there, like made them monsterify. It's like, screw you people, and then it's just like, I'm changing, what? And then that, then you have chasing them down the hallway. Which, actually, a quick question. How powerful do you think Tatsumaki is in this very moment? Because, like, do you think a regular metal door is going to hold her in? Like, so is there, like, was she enhanced? Or do they have, like, some psychic dampening technology?
I hope we see that. Because we need that shit. Espers are too powerful.
They are the true human monsters. Before Garou, anyway.
Well, I think there's definitely something what you guys have been saying about how people are how people are talking, like how they're trying to bring out energy, because as we know at this point as well, like, humans turn into monsters, so there is, like, at the very least, latent abilities in humanity. So I think there is something about maybe people being kidnapped, well, not kidnapped, but people being, like, recruited for these experiments, and maybe there is something to do with how, one sec. So there is definitely something to do with how that could be there, and we know, like, there's something there. But as for the picture there, I could imagine that, like you said, I think, Grimm, you got a point there with the hair, that maybe this is someone who's gone wrong with an experiment, and these guys, I would say Tatsumaki's naturally concerned for her well-being. I'd say it's more like these people who are supposed to be looking after her and helping her out are just abandoning her without any regard for her at all. So it could be something like, she went there willingly because she didn't have much control over her powers. And then when they were trying to help her and she thought she could trust them, she was on her own again, which is why she's maybe so untrustworthy and feels like the only person she can rely on at this point is herself.
Very intuitive. The other part that we also intuited was her distress with this memory. When Tatsumaki first arrived for the meeting or whatever, she was with, I believe, three other individuals, Darkshine and Pig. Signifying that they're, first one to be there. I could understand Darkshine, he's stationed, but not necessarily Tatsumaki and Pig God. I think Tatsumaki is also stationed there, but I'm not sure. I'd have to refer back to Tatsumaki's day off to get the exact. So, with her enthusiasm at the beginning of the arc, She was kind of relaxed. She was kind of annoyed at like the actual plan and the individuals like bickering about, especially Amaya. But she didn't necessarily show like determination, like fierceness or like any type of anger because there was somebody that was a hostage, because there was a kid that was being imprisoned. But it seems that here that is indeed the thought. So I'm asking you guys, what did you think about Tatsumaki being worried about Tadia?
I like that she cares because it makes her personality less ambiguous and her morality as well. Because she comes across, kind of harsh. And you're like, does she even care about saving people really? And you could say the same thing for like a lot of the S-Class heroes. So it's sometimes that layer needs to be peeled back so that you remember that they are the good guys, even though sometimes it gets kind of skewed.
Yeah, I like the kind of duality that we got from this panel, which is she seems to be both annoyed by the fact that someone hasn't rescued the kid so that she can go all out, but also judging by that I mean, if that flashback wasn't there, you wouldn't assume this, but judging by that flashback, she seems to also be genuinely concerned about Tadio's safety, which, like Zoe just said, it's a breath of fresh air, seeing it from someone like Tatsumaki. And once again, I just hope we get to see more of that fleshed out in her backstory.
Yeah, so especially with like characters like Tatsumaki, the main thing that we see from these people is like, in comparison to like the monsters, where monsters are very selfish and arrogant and what they think of themselves, Tatsumaki shows a lot of this already. Like, she's very similar to them in the sense of like, I'm the best, I can do it, no one can beat me kind of stuff. But at the same time, like, it's like Sundown said just now, breath of fresh air. It makes her human. We get to see something that makes her stand out, and that she actually cares for, like, she cares that she wants this kid out of here because of like her past, how she relates to it, and it makes her, like, for me, like, definitely more likable, because just something like this shows that she can have a human side to her. Like, she has a heart.
I agreed with everyone else. This was a humanizing moment for her, given her personality up to this chapter. But I feel like she wouldn't have had this moment had she not finally it been revealed, partway through the arc, that it was actually a child hostage. If it was just an adult, she probably would have cared about as much as she does for any random citizen on the street during a monster attack. But she sympathizes because it's almost like her story, being captured by, maybe she views the scientists as monsters. We don't know yet. She's just hoping that someone can save the child because her herself may have not been saved. She might have been able to break out on her own. We don't know.
Another thing that we didn't know a few weeks ago was the Rochi versus Psycho debacle. Now, I don't say Murata was alluding to with subtle hints that Orochi may not have the best intentions for his ally. And we see this here. But he has been submitted. This is another thing that I want to put in the bucket as to why I doubt Orochi's above dragon status. Normally, I wouldn't think that Garou, or even a buffed up quote-unquote Psychos would be able to manhandle Orochi, whether it's on the psychic battlefield or not. But it's happened. And the dialogue even seems to like allude to that this was always the case. So, first I want to ask, has Psychos always been able to mentally or psychically dominate Orochi? And secondly, how do you feel about that?
Well, what did she say? That she bred him to be subservient, or she could just have a mental lock on him? I forget. She says it in chapter 92, but in one way or another, she's always mentally dominated him, as you said. Whether he's willingly being subservient or she's forcing him to. What I'm saying is that either way, she is mentally controlling him. Or at least she was.
And now it's becoming a battle.
Yes, I don't think I agree with your initial statement, which was that he is now kind of maybe prior to this he was more subservient to her. It could have just been an act. To be fair, do we ever have any tangible proof that he was properly 100% subservient to her? But the other thing is, she says she managed to suppress him and that his body is now hers. And then we go and see that half of her body is actually him with his own thoughts. They're talking about how he wants to exact revenge on Saitama. So I don't think she was entirely successful. I think it's basically, if it was a fight, she's got 50% of the ring, he's got the other 50%. And they're pretty much equals in that regard.
Orochi before was undoubtedly stronger. He would not be trying to collect blood right now if he weren't superior before. And she's assuming, or her dialogue, here's one of the panels that directly alludes to. We get ... exclamation mark question. Orochi? Since when did you possess such power? Once again, he alluded to the fact that like she either wasn't gauging his ability before properly, he was hiding it, or she really did have a restraint over his mental capability. So like, Sundown, you think that wasn't the case before, then like, has Psychos always been stronger than Orochi? Like, we'll give Matt and Kishin there a chance, but like, real quick, what does that mean then, bro? If that wasn't the case, what does that mean?
That's a difficult one to answer. So, her not being able to have gauged his full power level, once again, could just come back to what did she have to gauge it against? Did she ever give him someone where he could test his capacities completely, and she would be able to see that tangible proof of him being at his 100%? I mean, even with Garou, I don't think she attempted in her Gyoro body to take him out, did a good job of that to an extent. But does she actually know what his 100% looks like?
All right. Okay. Makes sense. Matt?
I mean, just going on what you guys were saying then, I don't think she necessarily underestimated his power. I think she might have just underestimated his resistance to her, because obviously we know that, like, Psychos created Orochi, like, she molded him into what he was, you know, like, she broke him again and again and made him stronger, but he's never shown any signs of resistance to her. So the fact of when he showed up, like, the last thing she probably expected from him was him to actually go, nah, I'm taking over now. Like, I think that's probably what she was more shocked about. Like, not necessarily like his physical power, because as we know, like, that was her trump card. When things were looking bad, she was going to call Orochi. I think it's more along the lines of, like, you know, him actually having a goal of his own instead of just listening to her.
Sundown pointed out earlier that though Psychos made it seem, or was in the belief that she had full control, physically it looked like Orochi was just as much present as she was. Earlier, I made a point that doesn't necessarily, as Zhoniin pointed out, it's your opinion, you're fine. But the giant
Grimm, when Zhoniin gets so good.
the giants that were absorbed or were beginning to be absorbed by Orochi were not only screaming in pain, which may indicate something, but I believe that they may have something to do with why the current Orochi design is as Orochi design. Or excuse me, so Psyrochi design. Everybody's gonna call him Psyrochi.
Apparently the wiki has it as Orochi Psychos, which I think is kind of lame.
Yeah, fuck the wiki. What the fuck? Fuck does that mean? Fuck the wiki, my nigga.
Whoa! Don't say that.
No, just that shit right now, bro. What the
Don't
fuck,
take
bro?
things back. Don't say things you can't take back. Okay.
No. Fuck that shit, bro. That shit don't hold more weight than fucking Zhoniin, bro.
Well, that's true.
Zhoniin don't hold more weight than Grimm, that, or Kishin and Sundown. But so more than Satsuki though. Since this bitch ass wanna be fucking busy and shit, and I'm leaving this shit in, nigga.
What? He's been here the whole time.
There we
It's
go.
just he doesn't have much to say this time.
He's been very good. It's just he nearly said, guys, what's the time? He finally said the M word. He's been very good.
Can I say the N-word?
Oh, no.
You can try. Let's see how it goes down. I'm going to be honest with you. Let's see.
the only way you could say is if you have a strong British accent with it. Like it's got to be like fucking like deep in Wales, bro. Like all the way deep in the fucking in London, my nigga, deep up in that shit, bro. Like it's had to be like that type of person. The most obnoxious thing you ever, nigga.
Wait, did you say Wales? Deep
He
in
did
Wales?
say Wales, yeah.
You didn't say deep in London, man. You don't know your geography.
I know
Wales,
Wales is
capital
in London, nigga. I know it's not. I'm just saying, like Wales is in Great Britain, so same shit, bro. Just because y'all niggas are beefing now, don't mean y'all wasn't beefing before. Or that y'all were beefing.
Well, I think of the Psyrochi threat.
Yeah, Psyrochi or Oroguro. Oroguro? That shit sound wrong. Never mind. We call him the nigga Oroguro.
Don't get too happy. That was trash.
Wait, why are we calling him Oroguro?
Yeah, that's a meat puppet that's been long since dead.
That's raw as fuck. The first part of Orochi and the last part of Oroguro. I guess you gotta use Psycho. No, fuck that shit, nigga. It's the same shit, nigga. Fuck shit. Oroguro sounds bad.
That's why I always go with Psyrochi or Psycho. No, let's see how that. Whatever. I don't know. It would just be better if there was an official name.
Psyrochi or Oroguro.
The second one doesn't work because it's not a character anymore.
Psyrochi works. Anyway, I like it. Reminds me of a Final Fantasy boss, and I think that's what Murata was going for. Orochi's form is based off of a neuron in your brain.
Oh yeah, because
and
of the code.
I saw that on the Twitter thing.
Yeah.
Psychos coming out of him is just like Final Fantasy. They have like those, well, the early games, they kind of have like those funky final bosses that have like layers to them, like Kefka from
Yeah. Now that you pointed out, I see the Final Fantasy influence so clearly now.
Yeah. And then there's like Evangelion in there too. It's just, trying to make it like an ethereal type of villain, like something that we don't typically see. Like this exudes power, the way that like Brilliant Eagle, Phoenix Man did.
I don't get that feel from it. Like it's just like I've never really seen Evangelion. I've just seen like little clips of it. And I've never touched Final Fantasy. So like I don't really have the complete picture, but like I've seen the designs. They remind me of that. And like I don't know, maybe it's just me. I'm just not that in touch with that. It doesn't necessarily fit one. We get a lot of references to other manga and other Japanese culture, a lot, and nothing's ever been like. I don't know. Is it just me? Like, is this not really that extreme?
I think it's just you.
Yeah, it's probably.
What's extreme is how quickly you changed your name to Orogioro.
Yeah, I noticed because
very
my
happy
name
about
moved
that
up.
I'm not gonna lie, I was impressed. I thought that was pretty quick.
Really.
Everyone in the chat, can we get hashtag Orogioro and see how people spell it?
Yeah. Kishipu and Matt.
I don't want to see this monster up on the surface. Because, like, if she could mind control Orochi, even in a weaker state, she could just mind rape, like, whole cities.
Whoa, bro.
And have, like, mindless armies of civilians. And do you think the heroes are going to be able to fight? Yes. You think she gives a shit?
Whoa.
Mind control, mind rape. It all depends on how much she wants to torture people mentally. And then they're just like zombies. And then Zombie Man's like, hey, that's my shtick. And, like, how are the heroes going to fight against that? So, like I said, she needs to just stay down there. Because it would just get bad on the surface.
Matt, did you elaborate on the design?
Yeah, I mean, like, that honestly, ever since someone's pointed out, I just can't stop thinking of Final Fantasy. Like that's the influence for this. I also really like how just on the design, like obviously big gruesome monster, but the bit where Psychos comes out, it's like kind of like a budding flower, like a flower that's about to bloom. I really like that kind of look for it. Even just as part of it, I love like literally to show how the control is literally half of Psychos' body is Psychos, the other half is Orochi. It looks awesome. I'm not necessarily entirely sure where the bug influence comes from because you can kind of trace back a lot of stuff, but I can't trace this one back because like even with like Orochi's designs, like you could trace it back to other stuff like previous ones. But this is probably the only thing I'm unsure about. If there's a reference, I'd love to know what it is, especially like why the two spears. It looks dark but good though.
Yeah, I was questioning that too. Like, I think it's just there for aesthetic. Like, he just wanted to make it look as grandiose as possible. And also, I don't know, maybe we're under the assumption that, like, Psychos made him look that way just because that's what is cooler. I don't know.
It would be.
But I mean, what I'm saying is that I don't think Orochi, like, chose to that form.
And again, gay.
Because like when a Orochi looks, like a crazy Demon Souls boss or something in his true form.
If anything, I'm surprised it's actually not more like a snake form, just because of like the amount of like the Ouroboros she's got going on the design with Psycho. So I'm surprised it's actually not something like that.
I mean, it's half snake. The bottom half is. But yeah, I want to know where this bug influence comes from. Also, it's got Namekian arms.
Oh, that's where. Yeah, that's where I'd seen them before. Good shot.
I like the Fabergé egg as well. That has to be where her body is.
Yeah, I think that's where her miniature body pops out of in the next few pages. But I think this. I really like this design. I think it looks dope. Did someone mention that it was meant to look like a neuron? Was that you, Kishin?
No.
That was Murata that said that.
Oh, okay, yeah. And just because of the brain and the brainstem-ish looking cover page, I thought that fits really well. I didn't actually think about that. But the vibe I was getting from this, and I'm surprised no one mentioned, was the Queen alien from the Aliens movies.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw someone mention that.
Yeah, so the Queen alien...
Oh, yeah, the head.
Yeah, it has that kind of... that huge crown-like head, showcasing that she's the queen.
Geiger, H.R. Geiger design.
Yeah, and that's the first thing I thought when I saw this. I thought, yo, damn, that's pretty much the exact same thing. The twin spears made out of black.
They're just made out of black.
They're just made out of... Yeah, exactly.
Like super
but there was also... there's also... I swear there's a real-life insect. I don't think it's a mayfly. It's something similar that looks almost identical to what.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's what I thought too. Like I thought like a emperor moth or something at first, but then I was thinking of that other thing that you're talking about.
There is something though, but I can't quite put a name to it.
So the black rod are responsible for
the big black rod. 2 big black rods.
That doesn't make it less gay. Just to let you know. So the 2 big hard rods.
How do you know there are?
Oh. How has this happened?
It's a one-punch podcast. That's how it happened.
The 2 large protrusions in Orochi's hands. Whenever they touch Tatsumaki's barrier, they flip. I don't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah.
I don't know why the fuck that happened. I didn't know that was a thing. It seems really weird. This is another reason why I didn't like this particular aspect of it. And taking the full context into account, I think I liked Psychos better than this fusion. So, what did you guys think about the black rods and Tatsumaki's barrier and like what happened because she got bodied because of it? What do you guys think about all that shit?
Yeah, I just think it's like, I don't know, representing like 4 arms or something. It just goes back to the Final Fantasy thing. That's the only way I can really explain this. It's just an odd design for her to come out of him like it. But it also represents that they are 2 different people. Like, you know, there's an Orochi part and then there's a Psychos part. And the Orochi part, she's just using that to reverse the polarity of her gravity attack, which is pretty cool. And it leads to us seeing the most Tatsumaki has ever been damaged. By far. I mean, the previous chapter was the most she'd ever been damaged, like when her sleeves got singed a little.
And it gets upped even more.
Yeah, I mean, but also it goes back to the whole power thing. Like, you need to do that to Tatsumaki, you need to be absurdly powerful.
I agree with Zhoniin there in the sense that when that reverse polarity part occurred, but she kind of just touched and reversed the current and was like, yeah, it's mine now. I thought that was probably one of the most dope things we've seen from an Esper. We've seen Tatsumaki do a whole bunch of different shit, especially with the takoyaki she made out of the octopus and everything. But just the complexity of what this sounds like and the fact that you see Tatsumaki so shocked by the fact that someone's actually been able to do that. She says something about it being corrupted. I just think that it was such a cool way to utilize their powers. But it also goes on to show that there is a little bit more science behind their abilities and how she was talking about internal and external pressures being different. And even if Tatsumaki were to pop the bubble around her, the external pressure would crush her due to the pressure change. So I thought that was pretty cool as well. It shows that they're not just throwing up barriers. There's a little bit more calculation behind their madness.
Yeah, there's science in there, math. Hey, Sundown, how do you flip gravity?
How do I feel with gravity?
How do you flip gravity?
Okay, well, you can't really flip gravity. It does have a repulsive part to it.
Pretend it.
No. Gravity can be... if you go into quantum mechanics, gravity can have a repulsive effect, but that's a story for another time, my friend.
That's how the aliens move their ships.
Yeah, they don't. Their ship does not go through space. They just move the universe around it with gravity.
Yeah, and that's just in calculations and shit, not in actual. They haven't seen that shit in the real world. So,
well, they anticipate that maybe the Big Bang occurred through that, but we don't have any evidence of that.
Yeah, well, Einstein anticipates a lot of shit, motherfucker, and that nigga was wrong sometimes, bruh. So I'm gonna put it to you like this, bruh. Kishin.
This scene took me by surprise when I read it the first time because I was like, wait, you flipped the what? Because I wasn't thinking about gravity so much. I was just thinking of like psychic forces. Which then, this chapter is kind of confirming that Tatsumaki can use gravity, I guess, because how she like bends the light of the Orochi beams earlier on, and what? Gravity can bend light,
but those aren't light beams, honey.
They're made of energy. Energy is light.
So are microwaves.
Okay, now you're sounding stupid.
What do you mean? Microwaves are energy. What do you mean?
They use energy to make waves. Electromagnetic waves.
Light means energy. Light can be energized. Continue, man.
No, it took me a second read of that to understand what they meant. And I was like, oh, okay, well that makes this whole fight like crap. If she can do that stuff now, does Tatsumaki stand a chance? Obviously, by the end of it, we see the results of that, and and that it's not just going to end right here. She isn't going to be a Tatsu pancake, but it was an
Tatsu pancake tits.
Yeah. She's already
Grimm,
halfway
put in a
there.
laugh track,
Hey,
please.
Grimm,
Please put in a
you need to
laugh
change
track.
your name again.
No, Origiro's already gone. It's time for the new one.
But did Tatsumaki technically lose?
She lost a round, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
She lost the round.
She got
She
hit
dropped a
real bad.
round. The first round Tatsumaki has ever dropped in her professional career.
We could call it a round, but if Saitama didn't make that punch, are we to imply that Tatsumaki would not be dead right now?
She would have got knocked out in that round.
Maybe.
It would have gotten bad. Because, I mean, heck, she was talking about eating her. It's like your flesh and blood won't go to waste. So that was the Orochi coming out in her that time.
Orochi trying to eat that pussy.
That and so much more.
Lord Orochi, what are you doing? Well, I'm still a man. I have
Man has
needs.
urges.
I got demonetized for the second time for a suggestive thumbnail.
What did you do?
The same one that you have, bro. Same exact thumbnail, colored by fucking Kishin and shit.
Oh, no. You included the titties in it.
Bro.
So it's not the same exact one as me, because if you'll notice, there's not a titty to be seen.
Hey, bro. That's not my fault.
And you know why there's not a titty to be seen? Because I
so.
know that I would have been demonetized if there was.
But why? It's a thumbnail. It's not like there's nudity.
Doesn't
on
matter.
there.
It's big, luscious titties getting roped up by some slime tentacle. Okay?
Big fucking titties, bro. Like,
It's not okay.
I'm surprised they allow it given what's going towards her mouth. It's so very...
Yeah, that is Orochi's penis.
It's like...
That one tentacle.
I actually made a reference to that in my reaction because you remember that one episode of Family Guy with Adam West, and he's like slicks back his hair and it's like, hey lady, you want some Adam West penis? You want some Orochi penis? He's still laughing down.
It's weird looking back on it now. It's like Family Guy has become like The Simpsons. When like it was cool to say like, yeah, I only watched the first 3 seasons of The Simpsons. Everything else is shit. And now it's kind of like that with Family Guy. It's like you kind of just watch the first 5 seasons and then that's it.
There's been some gems in the new.
No, it's all been shit. Okay.
Well, I still like the Brian.
No, I'm
and
just kidding.
Siri
I don't know.
episodes.
I'm sure it's still hilarious. Honestly. Well, Saitama already did save her. Now she's going to go full power and probably win.
But do you think what's gonna come of that? Like,
Does she think that King hurt Orochi?
The timing is good for her to think that, though.
I don't think she realized that Orochi got hurt and released him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It remains to be seen if she knows that happened, but maybe she'll comment on it in the next chapter, possibly. But, I mean, if she does, then I guess she's going to say, like, thanks, which would be awesome.
King isn't the only one getting thanked. But I'd like to thank you, viewers, for tuning in to 128's discussion of the greatness. Make sure you check out everybody's content. Everybody released reactions and reviews on time for the most part. 128, if you'd like to stay up to date with One Punch Man throughout the weeks, throughout this Corona struggle, make sure you check out everybody's content. I'm pretty sure people are going to start like increasing the amount of content that they release. At least we're going to be doing that here on the Ruby channel. Zhoniin already does fucking daily content, so check that out. But I think the other guys are probably going to stop beating their meat and hop on that.
Hey, I ain't promised shit. He's putting words in my mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And dick in your hand.
Whoa.
Whoa, who's dick?
No,
What is that?
because he thinks we're all beating our meat. So
Jesus,
metaphorically, he's having... God damn it. And you said I ruined the joke.
All right, well, stay tuned. We might even do another one earlier than usual, fans. It depends on, like, once again, if niggas are beating their meat or not, but we'll see.
I just can't stop.
God damn it, Satsuki.
I'm still recording, guys.
Yeah,
You have
they're
anything to
just
say, son.
bleeding his meat.
That's all.
But anyway,
I don't know. I heard on the grapevine, this is for us Americans here, that next week or in the next 2 weeks, they're going to lock down America.